I'm so excited to share with you today how I study just one verse because you know what? I have ADHD and scripture study has always been a little bit of a struggle to me. It was really hard for me to just open up the scriptures and just read. I'm not saying that's all I ever did, and I'm not saying I never got anything out of my study, but it wasn't until I was a lot older that I finally said, enough is enough. I am tired of doing things the way that everybody else does them because they are not working for me. I got to find a way to make scripture study fun, even if it's just reading one verse or one word. If you're with me 2 weeks ago, I did a video on that, studying just one word. I really think that God didn't give us scriptures to see how much we could read or how fast or how long. He gave them to us to make our experience with Him while we're studying personal. He wants us to apply the scriptures to our lives, to get answers to our personal prayers. And sometimes that requires slowing down and simplifying and doing things in a way that works for us, not everyone else around us. I could get on my soapbox forever about this because it has been a thing in my life. But if you ever find yourself doing things the way everyone else is doing them and it's not working, like, it's okay. You don't have to put your square peg into a round hole. Go find, I was going to say, go find a square hole. That makes zero sense. But, like, what I'm trying to say is, I finally found what I had been searching for so long in my study when I decided to just do it the way that worked for me. And you know what? If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I talk a lot about my journey and how I got here. But if you struggle to really get something out of your study, if it's boring, if you're falling asleep and nodding off while you're trying to read your scriptures, or or if you're not understanding a thing you read, like, can I even pronounce this word? If I can't pronounce it, how do I know what it means? I give you full permission to put everything aside, everything you've learned, everything you've done up to this point, and choose different. Because you know what? Scripture study is meant to be powerful. It is meant to be enjoyable. And oh my gosh, do I dare say it's meant to be fun. I believe God has a sense of humor. I believe He wants us to have joy. I believe He also wants us to have fun in His Word. And so I give you permission to do this. And today I'm going to share with you how I journaled John 16:33. You know why I chose John 16:33? Because, well, I'm not going to say how long ago it was. That will really age me. But more than 20 years ago, I was going through a really rough time. I had left home before I decided to do all the other adulting in my life, getting married, having kids, going to college. I was going to give God 18 months of my life in service. And so I went on this service mission and I knew it was the right thing to do. I had prayed about it and gotten my answer and I was excited. But then after all the celebration with family was over and I had gotten on the plane and I was actually out serving this mission, reality hit. And I was like, oh, this is hard. Oh no, I have committed to do this. Everyone knows I'm doing this. We've celebrated. I'm here. And now I'm really homesick and I don't know if I can do this. 18 months is a long time. So I found myself one morning with the Bible open and at a crossroads in my life where I knew I either go home and I don't do this. And I will say there would have been nothing wrong with that. There would have been nothing wrong if I had just gone home and said, well, that was a nice idea, but I don't think I'm going to do that. That would have been okay. No shame in that. But I didn't want to give up. I wanted to do this. And so I opened up my scriptures and I said a prayer and I was just pleading, can you please help me, God, to find peace? Because I know that you helped me make this decision and I know that it was right, but it's just really hard. And so I need help with this. And I found John 16:33. And John 16:33, it says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." And that scripture was perfect for me because in reading that, I got peace. I was reminded how important it was to be of good cheer because I was out serving. I was making a choice for other people, for God. And it was okay for me to also be happy and be cheerful about my decision. And also a reminder of who I was serving. I was serving Jesus Christ. I was being selfless. And he knew that. And he knew that I needed to know that he had overcome everything. And so if he had overcome everything and I was just trying to follow him, he would help me with this. And that scripture got me through the next 18 months of my life, but also so many other things since, because I had that one powerful experience that led to another and another. And when you have these powerful experiences in the scriptures where you get answers to your prayers and you feel like you're having a personal experience with God, then it builds momentum and you remember, oh, this happened. I got this answer. I felt this strength. If that can happen then, it can happen again now. And I just kind of chuckle now because that was, 20 plus years ago. And back then I was still doing things the traditional way where I was just reading the scriptures and highlighting. I don't even think I was writing in a journal. If I was, it was just hey, I woke up and ate breakfast and I exercised today. All the to-do list, everything I had done. I wasn't writing down anything personal or thoughts that were coming to my head or feelings. And so fast forward to today, wow, I'm so grateful for my journey and where it started and where I am now and where it's continuing. And I'm sure 20 years from now, I'll look back on today and go, wow, you knew nothing then. Look how much more we've learned. But I I just love that you can just take one verse in the scripture and completely apply it to your life, and it can have a profound impact. It's so simple. All you have to do is just slow down. Slow down while you're reading. And when you find that verse, write it down and digest it like it's a 10-course meal with make sure it has 5 desserts because we all know dessert's the best part. But I also, while I was studying John 16:33, and I was searching online, like I don't like to just stay in the scriptures. I told you I get bored. I like to find other people's experiences and quotes from people that apply to what I'm learning. And I found this really awesome story, and it was given by a man named David J. Wonderly, and he gave a talk that was titled "Jesus Christ is not our burden, he is relief." And I found this while I was studying John 16:33. I love to just cross reference talks and other scriptures. I like to define the word. Like if you've watched my video about studying one word, like you know how my brain works, it's kind of like a beautiful mind. It's a little crazy, but in the end, it all comes together beautifully. Anyway, I was reading his talk, and it really applied to John 16:33. And so that's why I wrote parts of it in my journaling for this video. But in his talk, he talks about his little 6-year-old boy and how they went on a hike. And this sweet little 6-year-old boy, when he packed his backpack for the hike, he just put a picture of Christ in the backpack. That was it. That's all he wanted to put in his backpack. Now, when I go on a hike, my backpack's pretty heavy because I've got everything in it. I've got the sunscreen, I got the granola bars, I've got the water, everything you can think of if you have children and what they might need. If somebody gets cut, you need band-aids, you need a first aid kit, you need burn cream. I mean, just all the things. Anyway, so I love this story because stories about children just really help simplify things, right? And he went on this hike with just a picture of Jesus in his backpack. And as they were going along the trail and hiking, this little boy kept finding rocks that he loved and putting them in the backpack. And eventually his backpack got too heavy. And he said to his father, who was telling this story, can I bring all these rocks home? I mean, I'm sure he probably loved every single one of those rocks that he picked up. And his father said, well, yeah, but if you want to take them home, you're going to have to carry them all. But obviously, a little 6-year-old boy could only carry so much. And after a while, his backpack started to get heavy. So he would start removing like 3 rocks out of his backpack and then try and hike. And then again, it would fail because it was too heavy. So he had to stop and remove more rocks. And he said that he finally said to his son, you know, uh, maybe you should remove the Christ picture from your backpack. That might lighten it up a little bit. I'm sure that was probably one of those moments, one of those parenting moments, where you just say what seems like common sense, but then you think about it later and go, oh, why would those words come out of my mouth? But he said that when he said those words to his son, to take the to maybe take the picture of Jesus Christ out of his backpack because that might lighten your load. He said he would never forget the hurt look on his son's face. It seemed to say, Dad, you really want me to take Jesus out of my pack and leave him behind? And then his look changed to, Dad, you are not as smart as I thought you were. And I loved this story when I was studying John 16:33 because it just was another reminder of how important it is to put Jesus Christ first in my life, to put God first in my life, and to cherish their words every single morning. Because when I study the words of Jesus Christ and I put God first in my life by immersing myself in the scriptures and praying every morning, it's like putting Jesus Christ in my backpack every day. And I have had plenty of days where I forget to do that, okay? ADHD, sometimes I just plow right into my day and I forget what's most important. I've always said, I'm a Martha. I just like to do, but sometimes it gets in my way and sometimes I forget. And then a week later, I'm wondering, why am I falling apart? Why does life seem so hard? Oh, yeah, I forgot to put Jesus in my backpack. Anyway, and you know what? As we go throughout every single day, we are adding rocks to our backpack, right? We're talking to the friend down the street whose life is falling apart. We're on the news seeing everything that's going on in the world. We are dealing with maybe our children, our spouses, other family members who are going through trials. I can't list all the things that we are struggling with in our world today. There are just too many. And it is so easy to wake up in the morning and just get up and go and forget that as we're piling these rocks in our backpack, did we forget to put the one thing in our backpack that promised to help carry our burdens and make them light? Because if we did, it's going to be a whole lot harder. Anyway, I love John 16:33. I love the experience that I had the first time I studied it and every time I've studied it since. And all the verses, all like the one word experiences, just the magical time I have found in my scriptures just by doing things differently and by putting God first in my life. So I hope that this has helped you. I hope that you can give yourself permission to just really simplify and do things differently than what you've done before so that your experience in the scriptures isn't just pretty, right? Isn't just a decorated Bible, isn't just a goal met because you finished the Bible in 1 year or whatever, but it's precious and it's strengthening and it's powerful because it's personal. And if you've had an experience like I've shared today, where you've read one verse in the scripture and that one verse was super powerful, please share in the comments because you don't know who will watch this video. And someone may watch this and read your comment and it may be just what they needed to hear today. So please be vulnerable. Can't say that word. It just doesn't come out right. Vulnerable and share in the comments if you've had a powerful experience with just one verse. I would love to hear it. You would totally make my day. And if this episode has been helpful to you, please share with someone else. Please subscribe so you don't miss next week. And I'm so excited to have you on this journey with me where I share my crazy, beautiful mind and how scripture journaling has completely changed my life. Next week, the method I'm sharing, well, I'm not going to tell you, it's a surprise, but I'll give you a hint. It might just be music to your ears. See you next week and happy journaling.